balls. This game has balls. I'm not saying that because I got invited to play the demo. I'm saying that because they could have just made Doom Eternal 2, but id Software dared to try and experiment and do some different things, and I'm all for it. This is Doom the Dark Ages. I was invited to play a demo of the game thanks to Bethesda and id Software. However, this isn't a sponsored gig, alright? I have some connections with people behind the game after a lifelong obsession with Quake and Doom, even a little bit of professional Quake play for a tiny bit in my life. Considering I've been playing the OG Doom 1 and 2 since I was a toddler in the 90s, and somehow I even ended up being featured in the 25th anniversary of the game, you know, like the promo. So that was an honor. And, you know, it's definitely like a blink and you'll miss it moment. But for a Doom Turbo nerd like myself, like, obviously that was a massive honor. I'm not sharing this with you to flex, but to hopefully give you guys watching some confidence in what I have to say as a Doom fan, and not as a content creator. No discredit to content creators or journalists, you know, like, I'm just saying my heart's really in it, you know what I mean? Anyway, you'll probably understand why I had trouser movement the entire time while playing this demo. Just a note, mixed in with the B-roll footage that were provided, we got to record our own footage, but the PCs we were playing on, we weren't really allowed to like manipulate the settings, even like the controls and whatnot, so I basically had to play with a mouse that was like a friggin' anvil, and it was essentially like playing with a controller as a PC player after being run over by multiple vehicles. So please be gentle when judging the gameplay, as it's not very, what's the word I'm after here? It's not what you'd usually expect from a self-professed sweatlord turbo nerd Doom player like myself. So I did the best with what I was working with, okay? I call it the journalist gaming setup, but the actual PCs were beast machines. They had like NVIDIA 70,000 GTX RTX with like 7 friggin' CPUs and, you know, literally like NASA technology. Visually, the game wasn't gonna skip a beat. There's a lot to be apprehensive about before you boot up the game. The gameplay at first glance has a completely different angle, and the other half of the game's demonic power, the music, has changed hands also. Mick Gordon has become a big part of the identity of the Doom franchise since 2016, and unfortunately departed from the series after Eternal. One of my biggest concerns outside of the game itself was the soundtrack not living up to the previous 2 games. It's definitely not the same, but it fits the more medieval aesthetic of this prequel. I was a skeptic at first, but I think when you hear these tasty riffs, you'll have a change of heart like myself. I didn't get to hear the whole soundtrack, but the tunes I did hear from Finishing Move, it was pretty metal. It's Doom. Let's put it this way, it's not ABBA music. Some people complained that Doom Eternal was too hard. I'd argue that's because it was very airborne and required lots of circular movement in arena fights. This has changed dramatically in Dark Ages. They've basically clipped your wings and grounded you, but this time, turning you into a tank. To keep it simple, Doom 2016 was run and gun, Doom Eternal was jump and shoot, and Doom the Dark Ages is stand and fight. I was just as skeptical about this as the music changes, because us humans don't like change usually. We're often stuck in our ways. And I was receptive to this because every Doom release has always had some kind of shift in direction, whether it be art, style, or gameplay. You know, it's always fresh. Unlike a lot of AAA games in the industry where they play it safe, and not to rag on Call of Duty and Activision and all that, but like, you know, like games like that, they release a new one every year and it's the exact same game 20 years in a row. Once a year. So even though we end up waiting 5, sometimes many more years in between every Doom game, I'd say it takes balls in the current climate of AAA game development that, you know, creatives are taking some risks, and this game does try to do that. I think this game will definitely be more palatable to more players than the previous games, not because there's options to slow the game down dramatically in the difficulty sliders, but because of the nature of the game being more grounded. It's all about parry systems, like the whole game is about parrying the enemy now. Even the Titan chapters in the game where you battle giants in a mech suit. They still let you tear shit up with a big f***ing gun though. Now obviously fighting games are huge with the console crowd, and there's definitely a lot of that DNA in this game. It took a bit for me to get used to it, but it grew on me real quickly as it seamlessly blended into the run and gun parts of the game too. So if you're a PC gaming nerd like me that grew up on all of the Dooms from the 90s to now, I swear I'm not pulling a Todd Howard here, but it just works.
It's not, I'm not kidding.
I played the demo on Nightmare and Ultra Violence, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there was not enough lubrication for the arena fights. I mean, obviously I haven't played the maps before and everything's fresh and new, so it's gonna be a little bit difficult the first way around. But I could see, even with multiple playthroughs, that this is still going to be a game that's going to chip your teeth. I doubt they'll make the game easier because the last game was difficult and it was still a financial success. So there's no reason to dumb down Doom. And I do think that was a fear of many people in the public with a dramatic change like adding parry systems and everything. And even I had that at first. I was like, is this turning into like a console newbie game? But yeah, no, this once I got into arena fights, I was like charged up. I was amped. I did find the linear parts of the game through the corridors a breeze, but once I reached any circular arena fight with multiple chess pieces on the board, it really became a fight or flight situation in many moments of the engagements. The freedom of movement that the meat hook provided you in Doom Eternal has been replaced with the shield that grants you advanced movement that's more situational. If it's a static object on a platform to pull you up, or using enemies in the environment to pull you to them, the movement is a little bit more grounded now. It'll be interesting to see if movement tech will be discovered by turbo nerds in the Doom community that breaks it, you know, finding some way of cheesing the environment with the shield ability. But I will admit, they intentionally grounded the player this time around to make people stand and fight in engagements. The game feels a bit more about timing rather than just holding a button, doing circles and jumping and shooting and hot swapping and switching. It will take a little bit of adjustment for some of you guys. Definitely still is for me. There's plenty of stuff that's carried over from the last 2 games that people will be familiar with, like the tech tree system. You'll find gold around the map to unlock a bunch of upgrades at these shrines. You know, just for you turbo nerds like myself with Doom, I've actually recorded the upgrades and what's available in the demo. So instead of me just reading the A to Z, I'm going to play some chill Sims music for you to vibe with while you can just pause at your leisure to read what the upgrades are. I'm not going to tell you what's best because we didn't really get enough time to work that out for ourselves. So enjoy the reading. The weapons. During this demo, we didn't get to use the rocket launcher, but we got to take the super shotgun out for a spin again, which of course is all about painting walls at close range. We got our hands on the combat shotgun with obviously more mid-range capabilities. The Impaler, which is all about decorating walls with the bodies of your enemies. The Shredder, which seemed to work well as a mid-range machine gun. The Twin Barrel, it seems to be an over-the-top juiced-up plasma rifle. And then there's the Accelerator, which is like a baby submachine gun of the plasma rifle. The gun that stole the show for me though was the Pulverizer, which is just friggin' comically metal. Like, it's literally a magazine-fed skull fragment launcher. It definitely didn't act as a long-range weapon in the game, but more of a close to mid-range spray and pray kind of weapon. But I can guarantee it was a religious experience every time I possessed this thing. There's also the Reaver Chainshot, but that wasn't something we got to play with, only provided to us in footage. The gun is obviously a heavy hitter. Like I did with the suit upgrades, here's the weapon upgrades for the turbo nerds. Enjoy. Like I said at the start of the video, this game has balls. It's heavy metal, and you know, I'm not an official game reviewer. I'm just an internet clown who happens to be a fanatic of Doom and Quake. You know, I grew up on these games. I love them, and I'm always going to play every iteration as long as id Software keep releasing these bangers. I'm not going to completely simp for them. I'm going to share one criticism I have, and it's about the demonic dragon. The flying section, that is. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It felt a little removed from what is the Doom I grew up with, but that's the thing with Doom the Dark Ages, they've gone in a different direction. So at the core of the game, there's still lots of running and gunning, and obviously slaying demons. So hopefully, to any Doom Sweatlords who still watch my channel since the early days of my live streams, I can definitely say we're in good hands. This is probably the most metal and gritty Doom we've ever had. And there are some big fucking guns. Oh, before you click off the video and watch a top 10 cat fails compilation, I must mention that I do stream on Twitch, and I will be doing attempts at world first ultra nightmare runs of Doom the Dark Ages when it releases on May the 15th. I'll see you over there. Ta-ta.